Will, we got some news for the Houston Astros fans out there. Maybe some Juan Soto news. I don't know. Maybe some Alex Bregman news. So, look, we're just going to get into it. There's stuff to talk about, so why don't we hang out and talk about it right now?
This is Walker Yannick. You're listening to the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talk Astros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Astros411 on X and on Facebook. And they can find me at Back to the Bullpen on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, and iHeartRadio. I'm always positive, always Stros.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us, make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go ahead and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And for this season, you can get started with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. So, Brett, I know that if people are betting on if Juan Soto goes somewhere, we don't really know exactly where yet, but from what the rumors are saying, we'll get started in a second, that he has multiple teams that are offering him $600 million. So it's a decision on where does he want to go. Is it likely the Mets? What other teams? We'll talk about that on this podcast. And once Soto lands somewhere, what does that mean for Alex Bregman? Is he going to be the next to go? So if Bregman signs with somewhere else, I know, Brett, we've been talking about this, but there are some more names that we could talk about who potential replacements for Alex Bregman. I know Joe Espada mentioned that he wants Bregman back, but at the same time, he understands that this is a business. And on a personal note, thank you for covering me yesterday. Finally finished organic chemistry, so hopefully I passed that final exam today. But I'm excited to get that over with, that so I can move on with my life after organic chemistry.
Yeah, I have no envy for you there, brother. I never want to take an organic chemistry class in my life, and I would love to end my life with saying I never took one. So I envy you and your vigor for the organic chemistry. But hey, Juan Soto, I've been really trying to keep like good tabs on this, and I've been searching high and low because this is something, it just interests me. It's baseball. It's going to be probably the biggest contract that we're going to see signed, I think, in a while. I don't think anybody else is going to touch what he touched. I don't think he's going to get what Ohtani got, but we're not going to see another person get his level of attention that he gets. And Boris put it out there. We are eliminating teams. I can tell you this, there have been multiple people out of New York and New Jersey that have said that the Yankees, the last offer they've heard that they made Juan Soto, it's not confirmed, but the last number I've seen out there is $550 million. And if that's where the Yankees are, Juan Soto is throwing them out the window easily. There's no way he's touching that with a 10-foot pole. I think it's between the Red Sox and the Mets. The Blue Jays are in there. There's a couple other teams that I think you can't seriously look at, but the Mets have really kind of snuck in there where the Red Sox have been really, I guess, garnering most of the attention. And I'll give you real quickly 3 reasons why I think he could go to the Red Sox. I'll give you 3 reasons why he could go to the Mets. Number 1, Devers, Manny Ramirez, Big Papi, Pedro Martinez, all from the Dominican Republic. And Papi has just become a part owner of the Red Sox. Number 2, Soto is believed to have wanted to be a Red Sox since he was young. And number 3, John Henry, the owner, he's crazy enough to do a deal like this and sign another player. The Red Sox have sleptwalked and been zombies in the offseason. This year, they may try to upset the apple cart. My 3 for the Mets, my number 1 reason is one man with glasses, a really rich man, Steve Cohen, number 1. Number 2, Francisco Lindor. I think he's charismatic. He's influential and he's a leader, and I think he has the ability to bring over someone like Juan Soto. And number 3, the Mets can probably offer a little bit more money than the Red Sox, and they could probably also sign back Pete Alonso. But with that being said, I'm giving it a 60-40 chance that Juan Soto signs with the Red Sox, and I believe it's going to happen before the winter meetings start. I think it could happen within the next 48 hours, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm not sure why Juan Soto can't come to Houston Astros for that 6-year deal for $26 million that was rumored to be offered to Alex Bregman. I mean, that's good enough for Bregman, right? So why not? Why is it not good enough for Juan Soto? $600 million? What are you ever going to do with that type of money? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Eric, imagine being in the position where you can go, this guy could possibly leave $500 million off on the table, like 300 million. Hey, Juan, what's 250 million, right? You got 150.
We'll defer the rest of it, Juan. Come on. We're going to be like the Dodgers. We'll defer.
Now, that is the next conversation that will be had is, will they defer? Because Cohen and them they have deferred some stuff here and there, but the Dodgers are madmen. They're deferring that big Blake Snell contract. Do you see Blake Snell's wearing number 7? I've never seen a pitcher wear number 7. That's like a Mickey Mantle number. That's a Craig Biggio number. You know what I'm saying? That's like that number 7 belongs to
infielder or that type of number. Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Snell. Come on, Snellzilla. What are you doing with number 7?
Pitchers normally wear the big numbers like the 44s, like Oswald did.
28, 44. Yeah, you're right. So
So that's just what they normally do. But you've seen some pitchers, like one pitcher, I forget, I don't know if it was Hader, but I think Hader wore a 0 if I remember correctly. But I could be wrong. Somebody wore a 0 as a pitcher, and now people are like, that's kind of weird. If it wasn't Josh Hader, it was somebody else. But so I just think that the Juan Soto sweepstakes is not something that Astros fans need to be looking out for and say, hey, maybe the Astros are a wild card team. Because I think that with what Jim Crane has done in the past is avoid somebody like Juan Soto. But like we've talked about, what happens with Juan Soto? He is the biggest fish out there. Once that biggest fish is off the market, then everybody else is like, okay, what fish is still out there?
It opens
let's
everything.
Go ahead and go out there and let's go fishing. And so that's what Alex Bregman and Scott Boras are hoping for. They're hoping that they could get more money if they kind of wait around. I'm sure they got the Astros best offer, maybe. I don't know.
Who wants it? Oh, Bregman?
Yeah, no, Juan Soto. He did not get an offer from the Astros.
I'm sorry. I totally attached that to Juan Soto's like, no. Juan Soto laughed. He wiped his nose with that offer. But so I just thought of something crazy and super maddening. What if the Red Sox signed both Bregman and Soto? Oh my gosh, I think my mind would explode. All my friends, Rocky and my friends up north, Rob, that are big Blue Jays fans, they do not want Juan Soto to go to the Red Sox. They're like, we want him to come here. There is a little bit of interest, but with the Blue Jays, I think their roster, it just gets obliterated after 25. And I think they go yard sale mode in 26 or even after 26. I don't think Juan Soto is wanting to be a part. And here's the thing. And this, I think Juan Soto, this point will attach itself to Bregman as well. Juan Soto is also going to look at what team does he go to that stands to have more success, right? Like he doesn't want to go to a team that's going to rebuild in 1 or 2 years. So those teams have to give him the assurance. Here's our game plan going forward. And I think if it's not the Houston Astros for Alex Bregman, to bring this back to an Astros conversation, any team outside of Houston, if they offer him the same thing the Astros offer them, they're going to have to offer Bregman, put a solid team around me. Who am I going to be with? What pitcher can be on the mound? Because, I like to talk to my pitchers. I mean, what kind of culture is he going to have? And I think all that's going to play a factor. Now, ultimately, if someone comes in 150 million over and busts a $250 million offer, he'll probably take it. But that is a factor.
Well, I think maybe the Red Sox had an idea that Soto wasn't going there. So they made a signing today. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and we'll talk about how that could affect a Astros pitcher. Well, stay tuned to the Locked On Astros podcast. Make us your first listen every day.
That's right. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Let me tell you, FanDuel is the place where you got to go. It's great because the app, you get it on your phone. It's really easy. You look one phone, one place, get all your information. You get a hunch during the game. You watch play-by-play action, and you go, you know what? I want to go for some second half stats. I want to go this guy over that guy. Look, the Rockets. I mean, you might as well look at FanDuel for the Houston Rockets, too. It's not just NFL. It's every league. But right now, new customers with the first $5 winning bet, you will get $150 in bonus bets. That's right. Never waste a hunch with FanDuel because it is America's #1 sports book. That's $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Again, never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. And guys, thank you for becoming everydayers. Somebody that listens to our podcast every day. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. I know I couldn't do podcasts yesterday. I know today's my birthday, but I'm like, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it, and I'll go ahead and sacrifice this. But I know the Astros went ahead and they're kind of talking behind the scenes about possibly trading Ryan Presley.
Right.
And Ryan Presley is somebody that's been a stable for the Astros for a while. And so what you're looking at is maybe a changing of guard, so to speak. And with Josh Hader here, I don't want to say there's controversy last year, but it seems like Ryan Presley was not the same guy last year, even though his numbers were in some cases better than they were the year before. Yeah. But he wasn't the clutch guy that we saw in the playoffs. Like his scoreless streak was snapped. And so think about it this way. He's making $14 million next year. The Red Sox, Brett, just signed Aroldis Chapman, who is 36 years old. Presley is 35 years old. They signed Chapman for $10.75 million. He had a 111 ERA plus with a 1.36 WHIP and 61 and 2/3 innings pitched. Presley last year had a 114 ERA plus and a 1.341 WHIP and 56 and 2/3 innings pitched. So like we're talking about before the show, those numbers are pretty comparable. I know we don't want to put those two in the same room, but that just shows what the market is going for relievers this year. It's not as high as we've seen in the past. And you have somebody that like Chapman going for that. So maybe, just maybe, Ryan Presley, who only has 1 year left, and there's a no trade clause involved, maybe he won't get as much back as we might think.
And maybe there is a case, and Eric, I thought about this before we go on. Eric, happy birthday, my friend. Happy 21st birthday, buddy. You finally made it. You can go drink a beer tonight.
That's better than that 80 you said earlier today, punk.
Hey, Eric had a great comeback. I sent a text to Eric. I said, happy 80th birthday. And Eric, he responded with, you stole my text I was going to send you next birthday. Dude, that was quick wit. That was like lightning quick. Good job, Eric. You still got it in your old age, you old goat, you filthy animal. Happy birthday. But hey, seriously, this is what I was thinking about, Eric, because after we talked about it, and as you're mentioning it, my mind's kind of churning. That's how my mind works. It's always going 9-0. Is there a chance, though, to make Presley a more desirable trade piece if you can talk him into getting traded? That maybe the Astros take a portion of that $14 million and pay it. I know they have a lot of dead money this year. I think with the dead money, they're less likely to do that, but it's not like the guy's making $30 million, you're having to pay 15. Maybe you say, look, we'll take 5 of it. Or you just take him below what Chapman is getting and you pay that, right? Mm-hmm. You could take 4 of it, and 4 of his 14, you're paying him 10, pay 5. Pay $5 million of it. The other team only is responsible for 9. Then you're getting a guy for about $2 million under, $3 million under what Chapman got, and it's a 1-year deal. And that is something that you could that you could possibly do. You got to get creative. But again, Presley's got to want it. And if I'm Presley, this is honestly what I'm going to say. Look, I'm really pissed off that y'all demoted me. Like, I don't like it. I hate I loved being a setup guy when I was a setup guy, but I feel like I proved myself. Y'all went out and got this big reliever. I understand that. He's got the best numbers of anybody in the last 5 years of baseball. I'm number 2, by the way. But if I go somewhere, I want to go to a contender. I want to play to win. And I want to go to a club that has a closer role open. I don't want to go be somebody else's mop-up guy or an 8th inning guy. And so that also may make it hard for him to trade. So value, like you mentioned, what would the Astros do to curb that lessened value with that contract, and what team is out there that fits it? It's really like a jigsaw puzzle. I hate puzzles, by the way. I don't like putting puzzles together. It's not fun to me. I would rather watch paint dry. That's a very high level. That's like one of those 10,000 piece puzzles. Like, who does that? Do you do that? Do you do puzzles?
No, my parents do. And so, but I don't.
That makes sense to your parents. Parents are supposed to do puzzles. I get it. It makes sense, but not this parent. This parent doesn't do puzzles.
All right. So I'm trying to put a puzzle together right here. I'm looking at the Dodgers farm system, and I'm trying to find the next Yordan Alvarez. So we can go and trade Ryan Presley over there and go ahead and have part 2 of the Josh Fields trade, maybe. So let's go ahead and do this again, because I'm sure that there's value in Ryan Presley. I don't think he's totally washed up. I think that there is still value there.
Oh, no, he's not. No, that's the thing. He's not washed up, but I think he's pissed off and motivated enough, Eric, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still good.
Yeah. And the Dodgers can also extend him. They could go in and say, okay, we're going to go in and extend you for the next 3 years, and we'll go and give you $1 million for the next 3 years each year, and then go and defer the rest of it for the next 50 years of your life.
James Click deal.
So,
hey, James Click, you can come back. We're going to pay you $1 million. That's what they did to James Click. That's what pissed him off. That's why he left. Jim Crane goes, give him an offer he will refuse.
Yeah. So I don't know what ultimately happens, but if you do lose Ryan Presley, what do you get in return? Do you have to take on some money to get a better prospect in return, aka Josh Fields for Yordan Alvarez, somebody that you might have to wait a little bit for, but somebody like Alvarez is going to have dynamic returns. This is what kind of Dana Brown has been brought in to do, to rebuild the farm system. Sometimes you have to make the hard decisions, but if you do trade Presley, who are you going to replace him with? Because he is one of your top 3 guys in bullpen, even though you can't always maybe trust him. But he was your America's closer. He was your top closer for a while there. And so just because you brought Josh Hader in.
Use that term so loosely, America's closer.
Well, that's what they called him when he would pitch for Team America.
I get it. I know. But then the Astros fans took it and ran with it, just like America's team. And I won't get into that. I don't want to offend any of our Cowboys fans. But right here, Rio says he's not washed up, but he's not an 8th or 9th inning guy. I disagree with that, Rio. I think he's still still a solid closer. He is definitely a solid closer. And Patricia says, hey, why not keep Presley? Maybe he's just I don't think he's accepted his position as a setup guy. Ryan Presley comes across to me as a hard-nosed grinder, a dude that feels like he earns his stripes. Like, he doesn't get things because they're handed to him. He gets them because he earned them. And I feel like he was like, what did I do to earn this demotion? And even though he said the right things, he said that because he wanted to be employed and he didn't want that to affect the team. He's not that selfish, but this guy, I think, believes in himself enough that he knows that he should be a closer on a team somewhere in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the Astros will make the best decision, not only for Ryan Presley, because they want him, to be happy and be in a position to win and succeed, but they also want to be in a position to win and succeed. And if that's without Ryan Presley to maybe help the future, they'll do that. Speaking of future, we'll get into what are some more options in case Alex Bregman leaves next. But Brett, have you seen the pictures of the new A's stadium in Las Vegas? that looks like a glamorous stadium that I would probably have to go see, because it just looks like something that only you can have in Vegas. And so I know we're talking about it off air. You don't think it's going to happen? We'll continue that conversation next on the Locked On Astros podcast. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go subscribe to us, make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check it out. So, Brett, I know off air we're talking about that. Tell us some thoughts about the A Stadium, and then let's go and talk about a few names.
Okay, Oakland A Stadium. I'm sorry, Vegas low blind stadium. It's not even covered with a roof. It's hot as hell in Las Vegas. That's a stupid design, number one. Number two, it's come in way over budget. There's not been a ton of fan support. When you talk about markets that support teams, do you really think the Vegas market is going to support the A's? I don't know. I think the stadium is too big to fail. You can make it too big to fail. Now, I'm not saying they don't build a stadium, but I don't think they're going to build that stadium. I think that's pie in the sky stuff. And maybe they prove me wrong. But it just doesn't seem logical. They need to dome that freaking thing. No, this is not outdoor. It's like, why in Minnesota did they build an open air stadium? Why is Target Field not a dome stadium? It's stupid to do that. Mike Stanton said in April, sometimes they were like, dude, the beginning of the season, it was cold as heck. Las Vegas, hot. Surface of the sun, hot. I just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, there it is. I mean, look, it looks beautiful. It looks great. It's appealing.
It looks like it's got a dome over it.
It
looks like a fresh out of the TV series dome.
Yeah, it's half. Oh, dude, that series was so good for one episode. Anyways, it's open air half, and they need look if they want a roof to open up, they need to go retractable roof. Okay, you go retractable. Don't. Because if you have half that thing open, you know how hot. Okay, here's my example. You know how hot, dude, turn that thing off. You know how hot it is in Minute Maid Park with the little 3-foot gap between the walls. Imagine how hot it's going to be with the 30-foot gap. I mean, it's going to be too hot, bro. I'm not down with it.
Yeah, I know. It looks totally Vegas-y. So speaking of Vegas-y, we can all bet on who's going to come to the Astros if Bregman leaves. We all would like to have Bregman back. Like we talked about, Joe Espada talked about he would like to have Bregman back, but he knows his business. I know that we've talked about Alec Boehm. We talked about Nolan Arenado at some point. They won't come cheap. I think Alec Boehm will become a little bit cheaper, but names that...
Hold on, Eric, but I don't think he will. You know why? Because he's younger. I know he's a rental, but he's younger. He's going to want like a bigger 1-year deal because he's going to flip that into free agency, and he's going to demand a pretty big deal. I think. I just with Bowman and Arenado, I just think that also, what are the Astros? The Astros have to trade something. Who are they going to trade? We got no trade pieces, you know? Yeah. So anyways, that's just my opinion.
I know some names we talked about is Ryan Mahanan and also Brett Beatty of the Mets. I'm guessing Brett Beatty is only available if maybe the Mets sign somebody to play third base, Willie Adames, maybe Alex Bregman, that type of thing. But Brett Beatty is still a young player, and that's somebody that I don't think will come cheap as well. So I know some names that we've talked about. I know you talked about Jorge Polanco yesterday, and Willie Adames is the name that we've been talking about. But so other names that we can talk about is Josh Rojas, Paul Dion, Brandon Drury, and Kike Hernandez. So those are some names that could be free agents.
Yeah. No, Brett Beatty. Look, if Brett Beatty could figure out the hit tool, if we could get this kid to really play the role that he was supposed to play, being one of the top picks out of the Austin area. Okay. I believe he went to Lake Travis or Georgetown High School. One of the two. This kid's a Texas product. Would love to bring someone like him home. Obviously, it's going to be a big drop off from Alex Bregman naming all these names. Kike Hernandez, I don't think he comes back to Houston. But that might be cool. But Eric, after Willie Adames, when you look at Jorge Polanco, like we did last night, the drop off is massive. It is massive. And so if you're going to go that far down the line, to me, you might as well go Whitcomb, DeCenzo, Dubon, and just call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like we talked about before, you can also have Mauricio Dubon play third base. You can also go with one of the young kids and either Zach DeCenzo, Shea Whitcomb. Shea Whitcomb did have some troubles at the end of the year. Bryce Matthews, a lot of people said that he could play third base, but also he struggled a little bit in Puerto Rico during winter ball with a 589 OPS. He's not likely going to be on opening day roster because of the Super 2 thing. I think down the road, he might be option for, I guess, maybe shortstop or second base, but maybe not even shortstop, but he doesn't really have a place. So they're going to have to find a spot for him to play. So Bryce Matthews could be something, but some people have questioned whether he has the arm for third base.
And hey, for what it's worth, to circle back to our original topic with Juan Soto, someone I know from the Dominican Republic has told me that he's heard nothing but Red Sox since he's been down there, because he's actually down there right now. And I know they talk a lot. People talk on the street. So, dude, I think I'm feeling really good about him going to the Red Sox. It could flip on a dime, right? Just like with Alex Bregman. Like Alex Bregman could get a really good deal, and then the Astros decide to maybe up it a little bit to sweeten the pot a little bit, and then Bregman flips his commitment. So, I mean, we remember 2017, and we remember how it was the midnight hour. It was the 11th hour. It was, I mean, literally seconds before Justin Verlander said, okay, I'll go to Houston, right? So we won't know until we know. But it's just kind of fun to speculate things like this, especially with such a big player. But at the end of the day, I trust what the Astros do because they are the guys.
Yeah, and third base is a weak area in the big leagues, at definitely free agency right now. So that's why Alex Bregman is the next big target, I believe, after Juan Soto signed. So, guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. We really appreciate you listening, and we'll see you tomorrow. And Brett?
Go Stros.
Go Stros.